Hi everyone! Today I'm doing some food prep again. I've got a little list going on here. I don't know if you can read that. I need to prep the vegetables for the week. I'm going to be making chicken liver pate and a dish called pollo and potacchio, which is like a chicken dish in the crock pot. I'm going to be slicing all the cheese, preparing more cheese toasties to go in the freezer, and making Daniel's lunches for the week. Well, Daniel and Noah's. Noah is quite into salad sandwiches at the moment, so that's basically ham and cheese with cucumber and spinach from the garden or whatever other salad we have put into it. So I'm going to do the ham and cheese sandwiches, put them in the freezer, and then he can just put in the salad and be done. So that's what I will be prepping today. So I thought I was filming, but I wasn't. Anyway, as you can see, I'm just starting off by prepping some butternut. Just getting that peeled and chopped and put into the fridge so that I can throw it into the oven and roast it or steam it or whatever, but the prep is done and meal times during the week is easy and convenient. Next up, I have a head of broccoli. I've already given it a good wash and I'm just gonna cut it into florets. Grant likes to eat the stems with salt, so fear not, that won't go to waste. So next up, I'm just chopping up some onions. I've got 3 onions here. I've got 2 recipes that I'll be doing today, and I've kind of not quite doubled each recipe, so I'll be finally chopping 1.5 onions for each of the recipes, which I'll show you in a minute. By the way, I've been asked about my knife before and if it's any good. No, it's not. This is a Hampton & Mason knife from Briscoe's, and it's kind of rubbish. The handle has split. I know you're not supposed to put them in the dishwasher, but come on, if I've been cutting up raw meat, it's going in the dishwasher. So the handle has like cracked and split, and the blade does not stay sharp at all. In fact, it's impossible to sharpen, and it's actually chipped in places when sharpening, and I sharpened it with a Hampton & Mason sharpener that is intended for these knives. So no, I would not recommend this knife. I had a leak lurking in the fridge, so I've topped it and notched it and rinsed it, and I'm actually going to use this in the pate recipe that I'm doing today. So I'm just going to slice that up to go in that. Right, the next thing I'm going to do is, I had this cucumber that we'd already cut into. This is in the fridge, so I'm just going to cut slices. Like I mentioned before, Noah's really enjoying salad sandwiches. Daniel does as well. So I figure if I do the ham and cheese sandwiches, pop them in the freezer, then they can just grab some salad leaves out the fridge, which I will maybe prep later. We just get spinach out of the garden, and grab some cucumber slices and pop them into their sandwiches. Obviously you don't want to be freezing fresh salad goods because they just go to complete mush. Right, time to slice some cheese and then put together some sandwiches. So I've made some sandwiches with 3 in and some just with 1 in. This is what Daniel will take to school, and that's what Noah will take, and half the time he doesn't even eat that. So I'm gonna go straight into making grilled cheese sandwiches. This bread is frozen. I didn't want to defrost it, make sandwiches, and then refreeze it, so just working with the frozen bread, which is fine. I've got a few crusts, or the heels of the bread. If you put your filling on the middle, then your kids won't even know the difference. Next up, I have a crock-pot chicken recipe. This is called pollo and potacchio, which basically I believe means chicken in like a tomato sauce. I could be wrong. That's what it is anyway. I want to make a huge batch of this and portion it out and freeze it, because if I have a friend who is not doing so well, struggling, for example, recently Jess's whole house was decimated by sickness and there were stomach bugs going around and she had sick kids. I really wanted to take her a meal just to kind of ease the load, but I was sick and not doing well at the same time. So that is my aim, is to cook up a big batch of this, put it into portions into the freezer, so that if I want to take a meal to somebody, I have a meal ready, even if it's not convenient at the time to make a meal. So basically it's a bunch of chicken thighs. You can use the cutlet with the bone in, that will obviously give more flavor to it. But when I did my shop, they didn't have any, so this is boneless, skinless chicken thighs that I've browned and put into the crock pot. The original recipe calls for 10, and I think I have like 18 in here, I'm not sure. So I have 1.5 chopped onions, which, yeah, you can kind of brown those as well, but just didn't feel like it today. Filming this has been a nightmare with Grant floating around and things happening, so I'm kind of grumpy and I just want to get done. Then I have some fresh rosemary from the garden, dried marjoram, and some cans of organic diced tomatoes. Just gonna throw those in. I might not use all 3. The liquid will settle down through the thighs as it cooks. And then I have some homemade chicken stock. That's just the fat that's solidified. When your stock goes really gelatinous like this, can you see that's like jelly? That is really good. You're getting all the collagen and all the good stuff out of the bones, and it's really, really nutritious. So do not fear the jelly. Oh. Lovely. And also do not fear the fat. That is actually really good for you. There are plenty of fat soluble vitamins, for example A, D and K, that you need fat to be able to absorb and to be able to get in your diet. Fat is not the enemy, sugar is the enemy. Okay, I'm going to put a dash of balsamic vinegar in there as well. Just a little bit. Ooh, I almost forgot. I have some carrots fresh out the garden, so I'm going to give those a good scrub, chop those finely and put that in as well. This is my Pampered Chef food chopper. It's super handy. I'm actually just going to chop directly into the little lid thingy. This is a bit full. Should be all right. So that's ready to go in the crock pot just until the chicken starts to fall apart and I can shred it, and the carrots are really soft. This is delicious on its own. You can also serve it over pasta, rice or mashed potato. So the next thing I'm going to do is make some chicken liver pate. So what I have for that is some leek, some onion, dried thyme, dried sage, some rosemary from the garden, some salt. I don't cook with wine just because I don't generally buy it. So I've got some fruit juice with a bit of balsamic vinegar in. You want some good fat to go in there, so you can use butter or coconut oil, or in this case I've got some beef lard, some dripping that I poured off some mince that I was cooking, and some chicken livers. So I've got a few packs of these. They don't always have them at the shop, but when they do, I just buy them and stick them in the freezer for when I'm ready to make pate. It says free range chicken livers, which makes me picture these livers ranging around. But anyway, that's what they look like. So the fat is melting nicely. I'm going to throw in the onions and the leeks and all of the herbs. Some garlic. And I'm going to go and saute that on the stove. So the onions and herbs, oh, I'm going to steam up the camera. The onions and herbs have been cooking and softening, and it's time to throw the chicken livers in. And then back on the stove, just to cook those down until they are very slightly pink in the middle. I just cook them until I kind of think they're done. You don't want to overcook them or else they'll go really dry. Okay, so now that that's all cooked up, I'm going to steam you up again. You throw in your wine or juice, salt. Oops. Give it a good mix, and then you just blend it with your immersion blender. So you might be thinking that looks pretty sloppy for pate, and that's why you use a solid fat. That's why I mentioned butter or lard or coconut oil, because it will solidify when it gets cold, and then you won't have drippy, porry pate. You'll have proper textured pate. If you use something like olive oil, obviously it's going to stay runny like this. So I'm just putting it into containers to go into the freezer. And then I'll take some out and put in the fridge whenever I want it. It will go green when standing, and that's just the oxidization, whatever the word is. You can pour like a solid melted fat over the top to protect it, but as soon as you cut into it, it's just going to do that, and it doesn't change the taste, and it's not bad for you, so I don't really care if it's green. That's how easy it is to make pate. The next thing I'm going to do is wash all of these grapes and have them ready to eat. I like to kind of dry them off a little bit, because I feel like if you put them into the fridge with loads of water, then it kind of makes them go a bit yuck. So I don't fully dry and polish each grape, but I will kind of roll them about on a tea towel just so they're not as wet. Lid's not going to fit on, might have to have some now. And then the last thing I'm making today is some chocolate chip muffins. So that's it for today. Hope you enjoyed this video. Leave this a thumbs up if you did, and I will see you next time.